Hi, my name is Elissa Matson, managing broker of EJ Properties here in beautiful Huntington Beach, California. Today we're talking about Zillow and Compass, the lawsuit that might change how real estate is advertised. There's been a lot of changes with real estate over the last year, basically. And we talked a little bit about Redfin and Rocket. We talked a little bit about Zillow's changing their platform towards agent focus. Then, right as we were discussing that, Compass hit Zillow with a lawsuit. So let's get into it. Compass and Zillow. So this lawsuit could definitely reshape real estate. What happened? Compass filed lawsuit against Zillow. It's because Zillow started a policy. Actually, it goes back to Compass. Compass began doing what's called private exclusives. They basically are marketing a property to their exclusive group prior to doing other marketing, such as syndicating to Zillow. So that's what Compass has been doing. Compass and Zillow, this lawsuit could reshape real estate. I'm actually going to go over a blog post that we posted on July 2nd and just put a little bit of life to it and bring up the conversations and kind of the key pieces here. Compass filed lawsuit against Zillow because Zillow changed their policy, what they allow as advertised properties and the repercussions. This is actually prompted from one of Compass's programs, which is called Private Exclusives. My understanding is essentially that it's a chance to test the market where property is marketed only to their private exclusive group of Compass clients rather than being in public marketing, social media. Compass said, we're going to advertise to our group first, and then later we'll decide if we're going to put it on Zillow or other platforms for syndication. And Zillow said, well, you know what we're going to do is if you don't market your property upon public marketing within 24 hours, through the life of the seller and broker's agreement, that property is not allowed on our platform at all. And that's why Compass filed this lawsuit. They have two differing viewpoints about what's going on. And at the heart of it is Zillow has a policy that is banning listings that are marketed in private circles or social media and not available publicly, meaning syndicated, while Compass feels that this unfairly punishes sellers and stifles competition. Now, my take on this whole situation, my opinion, is that these are both two companies that should be allowed to create their policies and procedures. Zillow, we should remember, is a service. It is not a multiple listing service. It is a syndication platform. All the information that Zillow has for real estate listings comes from multiple listing services. Realtors subscribe to a local association, a state association, and a national association. To be a realtor, you are a part of all three. There's the NAR, CAR, or depending on your state. And for us, we're a part of Orange County Association of Realtors, OCAR. That means with those associations, there's certain rules that we need to follow. There's procedures, there's professional responsibilities, and there's ways and rules that we need to upload into the MLS, such as the Clear Cooperation policy is fairly new, and that says that before you do any public marketing, no social media, no prints and flyers, no advertising the property at all, unless it's in the MLS within 24 hours. That sounds kind of familiar. That sounds like what Zillow is trying to do. So my opinion is that Zillow is trying to position itself like an MLS. We do not upload directly to Zillow. We upload to our MLS that syndicates out to Zillow, Realtor.com, Rent.com, or there's all these platforms that pull those listings. For example, if you've been on our site, where that's pulling information from the MLS, it's a syndication platform. So it's a really clear distinction. Just recently, I was at a broker summit where Zillow was present. They had their booth. They were talking a lot about, this broker summit was through the CRMLS, and they were talking a lot about syndication platforms. Before, we're talking about 4 or 5 years ago, Zillow would just pull that information and advertise it. Well, what they were doing was they were putting any agent that paid Zillow to be advertised as an agent on a listing that they pulled from another agent. And it changed the rules of advertising, because now if you advertise a listing that's not your listing, you need to state which brokerage, which agent, and their agent license numbers of whose listing that is. You can't just advertise someone else's listing without giving credit for it. And that's what Zillow used to do. So that changed. Now Zillow has to say whose listing it is. They also still advertise other agents. Like when it says talk to an agent right now, that's not the listing agent. Usually it's an agent that has paid to be a part of Zillow's agent program. And the other thing that's interesting, most people don't realize that Zillow is licensed in all 50 states. They have licenses also in Canada. You can go to the bottom of their site and see all of their licensure. That means that they are not just a real estate agent, but they are a real estate brokerage, just like Compass, just like Keller Williams, just like us, EJ Properties. We're all brokerages. Now they're much bigger because they're in all 50 states, and a lot of these big name brokerages are also in 50 states. That's why they got hit so hard with the NAR lawsuit, because the brokerages are subscribing to associations, and the associations are helping create rules that create a fair playground, essentially, for buying and selling real estate. Another important piece, I think, that we actually don't go over in this article is that a lot of this is regarding residential units of 1 to 4 units. Those are all residential listings. Once you go into 5 units plus, that's commercial. Of course, commercial properties that are zoned commercial, leasing even, don't quite follow all of this. Everything that people are ironing out in real estate right now, all these lawsuits that are happening, are really focused in on the 1 to 4 residential properties, 1 to 4 unit residential properties. What some of the claims in this lawsuit are going on about is the Antitrust Act. That's talking about monopolies. It's talking about advertising. There's this push where everyone feels like they're getting left out of the space. And there's, in my opinion, an attack on our associations. California Association of Realtors is massive. If you're a realtor in California, you pay into CAR. And if you're a part of any of the state's associations, you pay into NAR. That's why NAR was the one hit with the huge lawsuit. Something to keep in mind is NAR is also there. They're lobbying for policy changes that should help real estate and support realtors. That's part of where those dollars go. So that's a little overview on what's going on. Of course, everything in this video is my opinion, and to the best of my understanding, some of this gets a little complex. I'm not a lawyer. I do my best to read through. I read different viewpoints to understand what exactly is discrepancy and why they're suing each other. But interestingly enough, what I think is interesting is that ever since that small lawsuit in, I think it was Kentucky and Kansas, where was it based out of? Kansas City, Missouri. Out in that area is the small lawsuit with one guy who felt wronged by a realtor, and he took it to one lawyer, and that lawyer said, I think this is better suited for a different lawyer who's really good at going to trial. He's a trial attorney, and that trial attorney took that one lawsuit, brought in a lot of big brokerages that he sued, and that's what created the NAR change. Now, and that NAR change I keep talking about is regarding compensation for realtors. That was from, I think, last year, 2024. That sounds about right. Maybe 2023. That NAR lawsuit pretty much opened the door. It opened the door to change. That means that there's going to be a lot of pushback about clear cooperation, meaning what are the rights of people of buying and selling homes. If you work with a company, do they have their own rights? One of the biggest branches in this whole discussion that I think is most interesting, when I set up this brokerage, I had a moment to decide Do I want to be a realtor, meaning part of OCAR, CAR, NAR under the association branch? Or do I want to be unaffiliated? Do I want to be a salesperson, not allowed to use the realtor title, but doesn't change what I can and can't do? A broker is a broker either way. How do I want this brokerage set up? Because however the brokerage is set up, unaffiliated or affiliated with all the associations, all of your agents have to be under that same affiliation. If you're unaffiliated, you would be having unaffiliated agents. I don't know if Zillow is a part of all of the associations or if they're unaffiliated. If brokerages separate from their association affiliation, what rules besides real estate law? We all follow real estate law. There's state civil code that governs a lot of how we do things. Real estate law is through the DRE, which is federal. California Civil Code governs our state. Outside of general salesperson laws, that might be a change we see. And I think that's actually why the associations are under attack, is that the associations are creating a set of rules that in essence are positive, and people know that when you're working with a realtor, I have a lot of people above me, not like in charge of me, but above me that I have to follow. I have all kinds of sets of rules to follow, and I take them serious. Not all realtors do, but I take them seriously. So you know when you're working with a realtor that there's certain expectations, there's certain professional standards, there's certain ways that business is done, there's forms that we use that are consistent, that are well known, that are looked at by legal teams. There's negotiations that we follow and systems that we have in place, such as using the MLS, uploading within a certain time frame, having accurate information, negotiating fairly and honestly with each other. That's my take. That's the big picture. Compass and Zillow. I don't know what's going to happen, of course. I can see both sides of this. I think Zillow, they're a syndication platform. They're welcome to make whatever policies. If they want to say our policy is no one can upload to our site, then great. That's Zillow's policy as a company. If Compass says we want to keep our properties only advertised to only our clients, and their clients know and agree to that, then I don't see how that's a problem. That's Compass's choice. So I'm interested to see what happens, because I don't think, like, they're talking about antitrust. Maybe there's some things there. They're talking about abuse of power. I mean, Zillow is not a public service. They are a private service. Same way Compass is too. We're all helping buyers and sellers, and the more we can help buyers and sellers, the better. So that's the hot take on Compass versus Zillow. I'm interested if you have any comments or questions or opinions, really. I mean, this is going to be interesting. And there's other lawsuits that I just saw also come through. Realty One has one going, and I feel the change in real estate. I wrote an article about it a week or two ago. We've talked about it a little bit. I'm watching this door having been open and more pressures being put on. I'm trying to see where and how the pressure is being put on, what the purpose is. In my opinion, it's an attack on the associations. It's that these associations have gotten so big that people are looking to disband them. So I'm interested to hear anybody else's thoughts or opinions on it. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all soon. All right.